I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
And this is a review. On today's episode, which is episode 31, we'll be reviewing The Meg. The Meg stars Jason Statham as Hero McActionface, who professionally saves people that have been attacked by sharks
In the deep.
in the deep.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Yeah.
So he must go to China and save everyone in China from the Meg before it kills the Chinese. Ben, what did you think about the Chinese production, The Meg? Because don't forget, it takes place in
China!
China! All right.
With that out of the way, I had a good amount of fun with the Meg. This is definitely, it doesn't do anything particularly new.
No, God, no.
I think that's pretty safe to say.
But within the first 30 minutes of this movie, it's established itself as cliche the movie.
Yeah,
like
very much so.
Every single like action cliche that you could possibly imagine, this movie is like
It's like just a
make
gobbledygook
sure
of
to
it
get
all.
it in there. Yeah.
Yeah, so you got Jason Statham being like, bald British badass with deep down heart of gold. Basically playing the same character from Fast and the Furious.
He's the same character he is in literally every movie. Jason Statham has never not played this character in his entire life. He's never put on makeup. He's never put on a costume. He's never acted as another. He's always, "Hey, mate, here's another one-liner for you." That's all he does. That's it.
It's true.
You don't go to a Jason Statham movie and expect anything else.
He's a little more maniacal and crank, but beyond that, it's pretty much the same shit. Yeah.
It's not much. He's still like that in this.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same route.
So yeah, basically they have this expensive spaceship that they put underwater, and they're using
The USS Underwater Enterprise.
Yeah, Dwight. Rainn Wilson is in the movie. He basically plays the executive producer, and he's just a maniacal, evil asshole that built this or funded this project so that he can study something that he doesn't really even seem to be sure of what it is.
Yeah, the whole setup is that they're over the Mariana Trench.
Yeah, and they think it goes deeper.
It goes deeper. There's like a layer that of gas that is sort of isolated this like micro prehistoric ancient ecosystem.
Sure.
That they're trying to get into.
It's just deeper under, and there's
trench.
different forms of life that could sustain in colder temperatures. Basically,
Correct.
they've been sealed under here.
Yep.
Under
So
like a cloud.
they're in here, this like uber alien underwater area, and they awaken a megalodon, which for those who don't know is an
big
ancient,
ass shark.
Yeah, ancient, basically a great white the size of a bus.
And they're instantly, they just know. Like, I love, that's the best part is how Jason Statham was like, it's a megalodon. It's like, whoa. You're not going to start with it's a big shark. You're just going straight for the jugular there.
Exactly. They don't make the leap of like, this is a mutant great white that like got lost in here. It's like, no, this is a 2 million year old shark.
I don't know anything about nothing, but it's a megalodon. Might. And so and then they basically they have to rescue their first team that's exploring the trench.
Yep.
And then as they're rescuing them, they basically make a shark wormhole. They open up they basically like
Pacific Rim into it.
Yeah, they Pacific Rim out of the prehistoric Marianas Trench. Yeah, they heat up a little section of the trench, they get out, and the shark follows. That's your setup. So then they got to kill the shark. From there, it's a very predictable movie, to a fault, I'll say. Like this movie, I was checking my phone every 30 minutes on the dot. I was like, okay, the shark shows up. It's exactly 30 minutes in the movie when you see it for the first time. Exactly 30 minutes after that, the fake first shark or whatever that they think is the big one gets killed by the real big one, which is in the trailer. Exactly 30 minutes later. And then it's like, it's just beat for beat. It's like script writing 101. It's like the most predictable thing.
It's incredibly run of the mill. Yeah. If you've seen a sci-fi movie, if you've seen Anaconda, if you've seen fucking Jaws, if you've seen any framing of this, Orca, fucking whatever.
Yeah.
This is that. It's basically the 2018 version of that. So
it's the 2018 Chinese version.
Exactly. So it's a little more diverse. We have a good mix of
white and Chinese.
Well, you got...
And Radon.
Yeah, you got Radon.
I don't know that. Okay, I don't know that actor's real name. He played Radon on Blue Mountain State.
He's basically a god.
He's basically a god.
And then you have everyone's favorite new Batgirl.
Oh, Ruby Rose.
Ruby Rose.
Who is reprising her role from every movie as
edgy
alternate hack girl that's edgy and possibly a lesbian.
And
that's
possibly non-binary. That's about it.
Every movie she's in.
Yeah.
No difference here. You've got, like we said, Rainn Wilson, who's kind of the comedic relief / villain.
Yep.
They never really tonally get him down. He's very weird.
Mixed bag.
Yeah. You've got the other scientist people that we don't know. You've got Clancy Brown in there.
No, you know who that
is? That not Clancy Brown?
You know who that guy is?
Who is that?
He's the guy, the large meth head dude from True Detective Season 1, where he's like, I can see the devil in your eyes. He's that guy.
So I kept thinking it sounds like Clancy Brown. Not even looks like, but he looked too young. Okay.
Yeah.
So not Clancy Brown.
Not Clancy Brown.
And any other notable actors in here, really?
You got Cliff Curtis, who's known character actor. He's like sort of like Jason Statham's buddy named Mac.
Yeah. But he
shouts to the name Mac.
He's like, what does he do? He doesn't really do anything. He's just
the guy.
He's just the guy. A lot of people there are just there to be like there. They're just expendable crew. Now that being said, I think most of the characters are pretty likable. Without Rainn Wilson and Ruby Rose.
Yeah, everyone else does a pretty, like, for what they're given, everyone else here, including Statham, like...
Statham's fun.
Yeah.
He's chuckling. He's having a good time.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. But
exactly.
it's one of the nice things that a lot of slasher movies, which this is basically just a slasher movie, that don't get right, which is that you actually do like the people that are just there to be fodder, fish food. And it's like, oh, that guy got killed. That's sad. But... other than that, it's very predictable. Like, they keep throwing people in the water and like, haha, it's funny, and like, then somebody gets murked by a shark. It's like every time there's this very obvious setup, and then boom, shark comes in.
Yeah. There'll be occasional riffs of like, you know, that like Rainn Wilson's got a pretty good demise where they sort of play on it a little bit, and like the back half a lot more certainly turns into like this overproduced, like hyper. You know, it's like shark with like it's Jaws.
Yeah.
With like hyper CGI and like really big like scope because of massive shark and they're like in China and shit.
Well, what you really I think the best part of this movie is actually the middle, which is rare. We're always talking about how the beginning is all right, the end is all right, but the middle,
Yeah.
This is kind of the opposite, where the beginning of this movie is dull as shit. The first 30 minutes suck.
It's pretty rough.
It's just like you're just in this. The acting is atrocious. Terrible one-liners, really bad. Like there's a part where it's like, "That's my daughter," and like, "That's my mother." It's like any time that something is happening to somebody, there's another character like announcing out loud who they are in relation to the main character, and it's very, "Oh, my ex-wife's down there, isn't she?"
Exposition dump 101 for sure.
But then once they've let the shark out and the shark gets out, it's like the second half of the movie where they're like trying to capture it, and they have like they put the Chinese actress, I don't know her name, basically the female lead, they put her into a big shark tank that's like
a dive tank,
and they're trying to like kill the Meg or whatever, or the one they think is the Meg, and it turns out there's a even Megger Meg. And I thought that was all great when you had like the people there that were in danger. You had some people getting eaten. That was very reminiscent of Jaws. You had her like getting swallowed in the tank by this thing. You had some really ridiculous shit going on with Jason Statham and like swimming towards it. So that was all really fun.
Yeah.
And then like they basically have like start over from square one, and they have to like go back and get the bigger shark, and then it kind of loses me a bit.
Yeah, that's sort of where it, you know, where it really sort of bloats and sort of like, because you're right, the middle is basically Jaws in 2018. There's a towing sequence.
Yeah.
They're trying to get the tracker on the fin. They're trying to harpoon the thing.
Yeah.
It's all very reminiscent of like classic shark hunting shit.
It is. It's fun, and it's even the fun moment where like Rainn Wilson is like, don't you have a tracker? Don't you watch Shark Week? Which is like a hokey line, but it's funny. It's like they're trying to do all this stuff, and then he's got to swim out to the shark. Swim out to the shark, and you gotta track it, and that's all fun and great. But then the end turns into like Star Wars, where they're literally in like TIE fighters underwater, like trying to shoot the thing with fucking missiles.
Is pod racing. Yeah.
And that's when it just is like, all right.
It like fully commits to like the sci-fi side of things, where it's like, like you said,
there's nothing that sets this goofy in science fiction other than like they have a spaceship underwater, basically, which I'm gonna keep calling it that because it's a fucking space station they just dropped underwater.
That's true. And also, like the 2 million year old shark that.
Well, yeah,
that's
not
you could
like,
do a grounded or like oceanography like
there's a difference between like fantasy and like science fiction.
Yeah.
Whereas like like future science fiction, like you can have the Meg exist in 1970s. You know what I mean? Like there's nothing about the Meg that has to be in the future. So that's what I mean with like all the pod racing and shit, where it's like, why? There's nothing else in the movie to support that.
It's true. It's sort of to bolster, like, it's sort of to create these giant action sequences when really what you're going for is just like dudes on a like more Moby Dick shit, where it's just like on a boat you're trying to harpoon a.
That's kind of the problem I have with this. Actually, is that they do a good job of setting up this research facility. This like this big underground, all these tubes, and there's even a part where the shark bites one of the tubes. I kept expecting them to get stuck underwater in the facility. Why else do they have it? It's just there. They literally are never in danger, other than there's that one scene where it bites the tube, but it doesn't start sinking. It doesn't fill with water. Like there's never any danger where the Meg like fucks up the facility.
That would be a pretty neat. Because it'd be a lot more suspenseful for sure.
That's a movie. Yeah. And then Tracking Shark Before It Kills People is a movie. But then they made it into one movie, and then they kind of just were like, here's half of the first movie. Never mind, let's go to the surface and do the other half of that movie. And so you kind of have two, like, mediocre halves of two different movies.
No, that's a really succinct way of putting it, actually.
And I think that's what killed the pacing too, because this movie's 2 hours almost, and it's like
easily could have been 90 minutes and just.
Yeah, they could have like committed to one of those two things more, and like it could have been a bottle movie where you're stuck underwater, or the other thing. But what you have here is just kind of bland action. Like that's the thing. It's like it's not really bad.
No.
It looks pretty good. There's some good... Whenever the Meg is, like, attacking, it's pretty fun, as rare as that is. It's not like... It's not like Godzilla 2014, where it's like, you get 5 minutes of the thing.
Yeah.
It's, like, pretty prevalent, but they keep losing it somehow.
Yeah, it sort of, like, disappears, and, like, it'll be gone for a while, but, like, it doesn't show... Like, the first 30 minutes where you don't see it at all...
Yeah.
Fuck.
Well, it's
dragged. It's real bad.
It's not scary at all. It's just not the shark tension. Is not scary at all. No. Even when it's like right in your face, you're seeing it. It should be intimidating. It's never scary. I don't know why that is, but like when it's getting smashed, when they're like smashing up, and it's like they don't see anything, and they show like a wide shot of the thing that's getting attacked, and there's nothing there. I'm like, this thing is supposed to be like a football field long, right? Like it's fucking huge.
It's one of those things where they're trying to do like the Spielberg don't show, but like. They don't also do the Spielberg thing where they imply the presence. Yeah. It's just like, this in the opening sequence, it's the Meg reportedly like burst through the hull of this like disabled nuclear sub deep down, and Jason Statham keeps talking about it. He's like, it burst through the hull of a sub, and you never actually see like it. Like you see an explosion, and you see like it's never like implied of like there's a big fin, or you don't ever see like a silhouette or anything.
They could have done something as simple as like you keep seeing like these tight, like they keep looking around, they don't see anything, it's dark out there, and then it like pulls out, and then it's the entire shark is taking up the frame, and you couldn't see it at all because it was just the body, and there was, you know what I mean? Like they could have done something where it would have been like,
plays with the scale. Yeah. Or you could have, they do a little bit of this, or you could have early on, you have a huge school of fish like swimming the opposite direction of where they're heading. There's really nothing like, and then they do like little bits of that, but in the beginning where you're trying to establish that suspense and tension, they do it too late to where it's like, we already know what the fuck it is, we've seen it before.
And consequently, it never seems like it has a consistent size.
That's also
like
true.
It's that Godzilla 2000 or whatever, the Matthew Broderick Godzilla. We keep going back to Godzilla, but like it's the same thing where like in some scenes it's fucking massive and some scenes it's like the size of a small, but it's like, okay, it's very inconsistent and it's like sometimes it looks way bigger than other times.
It's true. No, and you definitely have that thing too where supposedly this thing can like sneak up out of nowhere, but then sometimes it's like, oh, I can see it, and like the dorsal fin's over like out of the water and it's creating this massive wake, but then it's like swimming just underneath like a paddleboarder, and it's like
somehow doesn't see it.
When we've seen drone footage of like 10-foot great white shark next to a paddleboarder, and they're like, fuck. So,
it doesn't make any sense at all. Like the scale and the physics of it make zero sense, and do you expect it to? I mean, whatever.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I mean that's kind of it. I mean, there's not really much. It's a pretty standard movie. There's no surprises. There's nothing like crazy interesting here. And with that, we're ready for final thoughts. So Ben, final thoughts on The Meg.
The Meg is a cookie cutter, basically $150 million sci-fi original movie. But it's a lot of dumb fun. I found myself laughing and pretty entertained throughout, like even with the wonky shit in the beginning. It wasn't like a total slog, and then, you know, the palate's pretty cleansed by the time the middle picks up, which is definitely the strongest part. And then the back half is basically like Michael Bay Jaws, and it's a lot of dumb fun. Especially, you know, Dog Days of Summer, I would definitely recommend, you know, you got a matinee, you want to go in the AC for a few hours, see this shit. It's fun. It's a good time. I would say a good old-fashioned 5.5 Megalodon teeth out of 10.
Nice. It's funny, you seem like you were more entertained by this than me, obviously, but I think I came out with a more positive review, but I just don't think I liked it that much.
Huh.
Overall, this movie, it starts off really dumb and stupid and not very fun, and by the end, it's really dumb and stupid and is fun. It's got a decent cast that works well together. They've got chemistry. You're sad to see them go. The pacing isn't great. It's a little slow. 2 hours is too long for a shark movie, and it's super predictable. But I think overall it's amusing. It's not the worst thing I've seen. I don't care too much for these types of movies, generally speaking. It's just like, it is what it is. You know what you're getting when you go in. You get it, and you leave. But I thought they did a pretty decent job, and Jason Statham is funny. And I was laughing at some of the really bad parts as though it was a bad sci-fi B movie. So, I'd give it a 6, actually. I'd give it a 6 little dogs out of 10.
Very good. 6 Pippins.
6 Pippins, yeah. Which they couldn't commit to killing poor Pippin off.
That's true. That's definitely the one complaint, you know, like, if this were, you know, a hard R, if they were able to lean into, like, a lot more, like...
The schlocky
gore set piece stuff.
Yeah.
That would have elevated it probably 2 stars for me, honestly. If you get some good old-fashioned, you know, people like the Jaws video game. I don't know if anyone's ever played that, where you're Jaws and you just murk motherfuckers for, like, hours on end.
Yeah.
A lot of dumb fun. If there would have been more of that at this scale with that mayhem.
Yeah, I could have used a little bit more bloodshed.
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's not as neutered as I was expecting.
No. There's
for
some...
a PG-13.
Exactly.
It's violent enough, so...
Yeah.
Hey, that's The Meg, and that's that. So, as always, this has been a review. I'm Scott.
I'm Ben.
Thanks for listening.